Yo, what's good everybody? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you an insane indicator that can completely change the way you trade for the better. This indicator is called RSI, the Relative Strength Index. Why is this indicator so good? Well, this indicator helps you find overbought as well as oversold signals. So if you don't know what that is, that can help you find entries on coins as well as exits on coins. But it only works if you know how to use it. So stay tuned until the end of the video and I'm gonna show you exactly how to use it. So we're gonna first need a trading platform, of course. So the best trading platform that I recommend is gonna be Axiom, always. This platform is insane. And you pair Axiom with the extension called Uxento. This extension is actually insane. Not only can you use it for trading, but if you wanna make coins, you can turn on UDEV, right? You can copy like Elon tweets, right? So imagine not having to, buy into the coin. What if you just made the Elon tweet and just printed off of it, right? It's literally right here. This is free. So if you're not using it already, you need to use it. It is so easy. You can literally insta deploy it, right? 1 sol, 2 sol, 3 sol, or like you could do 0.5, 0.1, whatever you want to do. I just wanted to put this in because a lot of people still don't know about this yet. And this tool is actually insane, right? So if you're able to pool all these different tools, indicators, etc. together, you're going to have an insane edge in the market. You're going to be able to beat everybody, all right? Because that's all it is. You're versing other people. Maybe there is some bots, yes, of course, but 90% of the market, you're versing against other people. Especially right now, it's a lot more competitive. We need, the volume's a little bit lower than usual. So you need to have an edge, right? You can't just be like every other trader. Oh, I'm going to copy trade. I'm going to do this, right? Now, yes, copy trading can work. I made a video on copy trading and how to properly do it. And, spoiler, it's not copy trading Cupsy, West, Casino, Kev. It's not copy trading any of these guys, right? Now, I have a full wallet tracker list of all the top wallets on chain, as well as the top devs, right? The Fartcoin dev, FWOG dev, all these different people. So make sure if you guys are not already in the Discord to go join that right now, because we drop so much sauce in there. Free wallet tracker list, free Twitter tracker list, all the goodies in there for free. And if you guys want a bunch of free crypto bonuses, I made a whole entire list in there as well. So, you can make anywhere from $500 to $700. These are stupid easy. Anybody can do these, right? You just sign up for an exchange, use the link, of course, and you just farm the bonuses, right? So if you guys are low on crypto and you need crypto, then do these. So let's get back into the main thing, right? You already have your trading platform set up. You have everything set up. Now we can get into indicators, right? So ideally with these kind of indicators, right? Like RSI, there's so many different indicators. There's like the 200-day moving average, and a lot of these do work really well. But in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down RSI because in the sense, if you do know how to use it, it's actually such a powerful tool and it's not as complicated as all the other tools, right? And you need to learn how to use this properly, because if you don't know, if you just use it on every single coin, you're just gonna get cooked, right? You need to know exactly what's a good coin, what's a coin to use it on, right? Because if you use any sort of indicator, if you use any sort of support, resistance, etc., on a rug coin, it's going to go to zero no matter what. There's no support. There's none of that. If it's a rug coin, it goes to zero. There's no technical stuff about it. When the dev sells and he sells on all of his wallets, it goes to zero. That's just a fact. So you guys need to understand and learn how to find these rug coins, how to spot them out, so you make sure you don't buy into them. So a very, very, very easy way is obviously filters, right? This can filters get rid of almost, I want to say 70 to 80%. And there's going to be a little bit to slip through, of course, and that's going to be your job, which I'm going to show you how to find these so that you can slim down the percentages, right? Because all you're doing is putting every single coin that comes out through a funnel, and you're going to be able to see what's at the bottom of the funnel and be like, okay, these are my selections, right? It's not going to be 100 coins. There's so many coins. Of course, there's 100 coins, but you're only going to pick like 5. And then we're going to see, okay, what are these coins? So let's get started. For new pairs, no filters, maybe 8K at the minimum, right? But other than that, no filters. Because why? Well, if I see Elon tweet or somebody crazy tweet something, I want to snipe it right away. I don't care what market cap. I want to get in at like the lowest market cap. Now, it's very important that you have filters for final stretch and migrated. Because if you're trying to use any sort of indicators, any sort of RSI, etc., on a new pair, there's no point. The only thing that's driving new pairs is attention. The same does go for final stretch and migrated, but there's a little bit more, I guess, technical aspect of it, right? Because let's say a coin's at 30K, but then one of the top holders just flash dumped, whatever, right? The coins, the bigger the market cap, the more this applies. Or the more the volume, the more natural it is, the more this applies. So yes, how are we going to be able to do this? So firstly, I can break down all of these. I've broken down all my filters in previous videos. I'm just going to break them down one more time really quick. So the max age, I want 30 minutes because I don't want a dead coin. The top 10 holder percentage is going to be 40, 40, 40, 40, etc., right? And then the minimum market cap is going to be 10. And then for migrated, it's going to be, 120 max for the minutes. So that's 2 hours. And then top 10 holders, 40, 40, 40. This way I don't see obvious rugs, and I don't see coins that are like 6 hours old, a day old, etc., right? I don't want to just see those trash coins. Now, going back to the final stretch, right? What am I going to be looking for? So we have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coins after, 6, 7, whatever new coins pop up, but after my filters. So now it's my job to like manually go through them, right? And see, okay, is there anything weird with this coin? Whatever. So let's look at this Yuji Sakai coin. So the coin does look sort of natural, right? It looks like some of my tracked wallets bought. Looks like the Korean quant guy bought in. And we can see, I was digging through the 4chan, blah, 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 blah. So it's some sort of tweet. And then I guess this is like the picture that he found, this guy. And yeah, what we're going to look for is obviously we're going to look through holders. So the good thing is the holder wallets at least have some balances. But what I'm noticing, there's a lot of bundles, right? Which isn't something that's ideal. Now, if you're able to get in before these bundles do, right, at a lower bid, right, then you're obviously going to be fine because then the bundles are just extra pumping up the price. Now, what you don't want to see is in this holders section, very, very low Solana balances like this, 0.054, because typically that means that the wallet is a brand new wallet and it's bundle wallets, right? If it's all the same amount or very small amounts, they're all bundle wallets. Another thing that you want to check out for is if they're all funded from the same exchange, right? Like say this wallet was funded from Binance, this wallet, Binance, or Coinbase. You want to see different exchanges because, if it's all from the same thing, what does that say? Well, it's all owned probably by the same person. So you ideally want to see other, different people, and also the holders, right? The percentage of people holding. Ideally, you don't want anything more than 4% on the holders. So 3.9, 4% is fine. If you start going into the 5-6% on the holders, don't worry about this liquidity pool. This money's locked. This is the money that you're trading with. Don't worry about the liquidity pool. Worry about number 2 and all the way down. So 3.3%. The holder distribution is fine. Now, this is the whole key of trading, right? You need to find something good, and then you have to enter it with a strategy. You have to enter it with a plan. So how are you going to be able to enter it with a plan? Well, yes, you ideally can look through dips. But what if you don't know what a dip is, right? Well, the whole point of the RSI is it actually does a really quite accurate job of being able to find these overbought and oversold areas. But typically, you need to be on the right time frame. So yes, I always trade on the 1 second chart for new pairs or final stretch, and then on migrated, I occasionally will up to the 5 second, 30 second, 1 minute, just depending on how old it is. So let's go look at this Stardust coin, for example. This coin is at around 60K, and we're gonna go on the 5 second chart. Now, we're going to need to turn on the indicator, right? The indicator is called RSI, so relative strength index. You're going to go here on the search bar and do RSI, and it's going to be the first one up here, relative strength index. Now, what do we notice? We notice these blue lines that just added onto our chart, right? Now, you can customize how big you want it over your chart. I'm going to show you how to understand how to read these. So what are we looking for? So anything that's in this line, I guess, is in a range. Now, when it breaks between, you see these 3 lines. When it breaks out of this line upwards, right, you could see it broke out here. That's typically signaling an oversold signal. Now, when it breaks below, right, as you could see it barely broke below here. That is, overbought up here. I'm tripping. All right, overbought up here and then oversold down here. So what you're looking for to enter, right, it needs to pass your checklist of, is this coin good? Is this coin not an obvious rug coin, right? Does it have a good narrative? Has it not been done before, right? So this coin's been done a few times, 18 minutes ago, blah, blah, blah. Little bit questionable, right? But has it been done like a gazillion times? Now we can see it's starting to wick below here, right? It wicked below on the RSI. So technically, this is kind of flashing a entry at 50K, right? 50K is also a support. But you're kind of wondering, look, there's like barely any volume. So that's like the one. Okay, now we're starting to get a little bit more volume. But let me draw that. The thing is, you want to see volume coming in as well. So if the coin flashes on the RSI, let me draw this line for you guys and draw it a little bit longer here. So you can see it did hold a support here. So this is ideally where you'd want to start bidding it. The only tricky thing here is, right, you want to see volume coming in. When you buy here, look at that. It literally called the bottom perfectly. Now, obviously, it's not going to be 99.99999% right. What if it's a rug coin? This is why you have to do all the stuff before. And then when it passes your checklist, then you're like, okay, this is where I'm going to enter, right? As soon as it wicks, buy a SOL, right? Buy 0.5, buy 2 SOL, whatever. Now you're already up, what, 40%, 30% right now? So that's easy scout. And that's by using two things, right? What I tell you, all you guys before, is looking for entries, 40 to 60% dip. So like say if a coin went up to 110K, 100K, where's your entry going to be? Well, you do the math, around 50K. That's where you're going to look. Maybe 60K, but like ideally 50K. And you can see that because it held a support here. It had a strong support around like 40 to 45, but there is a support at 50, right? You could see how when a coin breaks a resistance, right? When it breaks past here, that resistance turns into a support. So you could see it broke here. This resistance came down a little bit, broke again. So that now this is a support. It came down all the way from migration. It had the migration dip. And you could see it almost hit an oversold, but didn't quite yet just because they typically, I mean, saying like this one all the way from 78. So 30K, I'm sure it would have flashed the oversold signal. But you could see this called it pretty well. Now, how are you going to be? You have to have a trading plan, of course, right? Nobody ever has a plan for when they trade because they're all like basically just, gambling, right? They don't have any strategy at all. This is what I'm trying to teach you guys. So you have to be, paying a lot of attention and listening very carefully. So like I said, this called the bottom basically perfectly, but how do you know it's going to still keep going up? This is why it's very important to be checking at the transactions that are going through. You can also realize it's around like 1 a.m. where I'm at. So the volume is going to be a lot slower, right? So typically, when it gets a lot later night in the US, the volume slows down, which can be good for like, I guess, meme coin plays, scalping plays, but it's a little bit slower, right? So you have to be a little bit more patient. So there's a lot of different things that go into this. I want to make this as simple as possible because, obviously I don't want to overcomplicate it. I know there's a lot of people that are new. But what you're looking for, right? The same thing applies when this thing goes out of the range. This is when you're going to want to sell. You could see it wicked really high. You would have sold around here. This is where it would have marked your sell, around this area, right? You could have got it here, here, or here. So, I mean, from buying at this bottom here where it wicked, you could have bought here and sold here. This is not me just, randomly telling you. This is what the RSI is telling me on the 5-second chart. And you can even go on a bigger time frame, but this coin isn't really that old, so there's no point. But you could see it wicked right here. Boom. Now, we technically still haven't seen an oversold signal, but sometimes coins will just bounce, right? They're not going to be overbought and then oversold again. It might just not bounce and recover all the way through. So this is where you have to be like, okay, does this coin still have a good narrative? They still haven't paid DEX. Now, technically, I can actually go check on my server. So in the VIP, we do have a DEX paid checker, and it says it's not paid. This one actually updates it like 30 seconds, 40 seconds before Axiom does. So it's actually really, really cool. We have a lot of cool tools. So if you guys are not in the VIP, feel free to join. It's literally like the price of like lunch for the week. It's not that expensive. We have a bunch of tools and, tons of cool stuff. I'm adding a bunch of course videos. So look at this. It just wicked the oversold signal. So we would have sold right here. This is where it's telling me to sell. Boom. You see that, right? It wicked over it. So how much did you make on this trade? Well, you bought at 43. You sold at 84. You basically 2x your trade. right? This is like, it's not even that hard. Now, yes, if you buy a rug coin, the RSI is not going to work on a rug coin. I'm sorry. You know, you have to put a little bit of work into researching, but look at how easy it was for me to find this coin. There's so much potential with using indicators like this. If a coin is slowly dying out like this is really not a coin where you're going to want to use RSI. You want to use RSI on something that has volume, right? You could see this thing's getting big volume. And yes, this would have been an amazing sell. Now, the thing is, it's starting to come back to test its high. So you could see there's a lot of selling pressure at 100K. Same with migration. That's why it dumped at migration. So there's a big resistance right here at this 100K level. So if it's able to break 100K, you guys usually see when those coins do break past 100K, like 110, they just go flying. Someone blasts like 20 SOL. This is all psychology. This all happens for a reason. The reason it gets close to 100K and comes all the way down and dumps like this, all of this is psychology, guys. Yes, there is technical stuff, but the technical stuff can be supported by psychology, right? Why would the RSI have gone down? Well, it's an oversold signal. Why did this wick up right here? Well, it's an overbought signal. It's people buying too much, you know, a lot of greed, and then this is a good time to sell. Now, yes, can it go higher? Possibly. Can it go lower? Yeah. But if you're able to follow through your trades with a plan, an entry strategy, and an exit strategy, you're going to do very well. So if you guys haven't joined the Discord already, make sure you join. And if you guys have any video ideas, make sure to let me know. And yeah, thank you for watching.